What up? Welcome to Breaking Free Speech, the Breaking Free Skate Park podcast. And today we're talking about sponsorships. That's right. We're talking about breaking free, starting a team. Now, if you're paying attention, I imagine if you're paying attention, and it's probably you, and you are because you're watching this. You also follow us on Instagram, and we posted this flyer on a story on Instagram. I'll read it. Breaking Free Skate Park is looking for motivated riders with a positive attitude to join the BFS team. So we're gonna go into this a little bit, and I'm gonna break this down in a few ways. Okay. So first, I want to talk about what a sponsorship is on all levels of sponsorship. Tying in with that, I'll talk about what exactly I am looking for the skate park in my team. Then I'm going to talk about why you want to be sponsored so badly, because everyone wants to be sponsored. It's just like, oh my God, I want to be sponsored so badly. We'll talk about that, kind of a little psychology of it. Then at the end, I'm going to talk about the three levels of team that we're going to have, what that means, what I'm asking for, like what's required of you to be on that team, and then what you get for being on that team. So we're going to talk, you'll find out your kind of overall eligibility for these teams at the end. So stick around to the end to hear that. So first, we're going to talk about what is sponsorship. So first, we're going to talk about what exactly being sponsored means. Okay. Not the whole world, but the world more or less exists in a free market. Okay. And what a free market essentially means is you choose to have economic transactions with whoever you choose, and I do the same, and we're both better for that. Okay? Right? So, for example, if there are multiple supermarkets in your town, you're going to choose where you're going to spend your money. And there's various reasons why you make that choice. Maybe one is closer. Maybe one has better quality produce, right? You're going to make that choice. The companies understand you're going to make that choice, so they will do various things to influence your choice. Those things might be having better quality products on the shelf. It might be having a cleaner facility. It might be putting their stores geographically in a location that's closest to as many people as possible, therefore, because they make whatever, right? So sponsorship exists in the same domain, right? It's an economic transaction. It is very much favored, though, for the business because everyone wants to be sponsored, right? So most of you can understand this. You all want to be sponsored. So a business, a skateboard company can effectively offer you literally nothing. Like if I said, I'm going to give you literally nothing, but you get to say you're sponsored by me, you would take that deal. And I don't give up anything. On the other side of the spectrum, you have riders who are the cream of the crop, the pinnacle of their sport. You'll have skaters or bikers or scooters that are so good, they can pretty much choose who they want to be sponsored by because companies are just like would be stammering over themselves, right? So those riders make a lot of money because there's very few of them, so they can actually go to this. Oh, what are they going to give me? What are they going to give me? Right? They could turn down many offers until one place says, "I'll pay you more," whatever. Okay, so there's your spectrum. It's a trade-off, right? Everything's a trade-off. There's no outcomes. There's only trade-offs. Okay. When we get to the end of the podcast, where I'm going to explain the three levels of team, that's going to make sense because, the better you are, and I'll explain what better means, the more I'm going to give you, right? So at the end of the day, A sponsored rider has one job. I'll I'm not going to talk about me first. I'll talk about like a scooter or skateboard company, right? So if you get sponsored by skateboard company X, the whole point is skateboard company X thinks you will help them sell their product, right? This is nothing, it doesn't necessarily mean you're good or the best skater. I come from BMX, and I watched this unfold over the last it's years ago now, but forever this is what everyone thought. The best riders are sponsored, right? The best of the best, you're sponsored. But like I said, your job as a sponsored rider is to make the rider you're sponsored for sell product. Along comes social media. Along comes YouTube. Then you have these riders coming up who are documenting their journey. They're certainly not the best riders, but they develop a following. They develop a fan base. They have thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of subscribers and followers on social media. Well, then, BMX company X goes, man, this guy on YouTube, we'll call him Adam Y. Adam Y has, 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Man, if we could sell, a pair of handlebars to 1% of that customer base, what was 1% of 100,000? 1,000? I don't know what it is. 100? Either way, like if a company said, if I sponsored you and as a result of sponsoring you, I sold 100 insert whatever product, that's a good deal for them. So what happened is this imaginary rider I made up named Adam Y gets sponsored. The brand now gets access, gets marketing, gets advertising directly to this person's subscribers. And the YouTuber's like, hey, I'm Adam Y. I'm now sponsored by this brand. These grips are great. This is that, blah, blah, blah. And then his customers, or essentially his viewers, are far more inclined to buy product from bike company X. Now, this threw a wrench into the whole system in BMX because everyone thought, well, I'm sponsored because I'm a good biker. Turns out that wasn't necessarily the case. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there are riders who are extremely talented but don't really do social media. They're not self-promoted. And it's much more challenging for brands to pick up those riders now because they're not self-promoting themselves. You could be like an amazing rider, but nowadays, if you don't have a social media, if you don't have a YouTube, if you're not like putting out your own content, you're not going to sell product. Because it used to be BMX skateboarding, it's probably not scootering because it's too new, but there used to be these things called magazines. We've talked about magazines before. And there used to be a more centralized place for content on the web. For BMX, it was the Come Up or ridebmx.com. So all the content would be in these specific locations, which meant there was kind of like gatekeepers for those locations, and that could necessarily not be the best thing. But either way, a brand could find a good rider, film with that good rider, take that content, put it into these mediums, whether it be magazine or whatever, riders see it and go, bam, I need to ride that bike company's thing. And then there's the like the fashion aspect of it, where it's like, man, all these good riders are dressing this way. So then, that there's this whole snowballing thing from there on. Now, companies are way less likely to do that sort of push on a singular rider because these centralized platforms no longer exist, or at least not to the massive, they don't have the same disproportionate impact they used to have. So now if you're great, but you're not self-promoted, you're less likely to get sponsored because the company can find a rider who's not nearly as good as you, but is way more tech savvy, way more good at self-promoting themselves. And the brand has to do way less work to get you, the sponsored rider, to sell the product. Because that's what it is. You now work for the company when you're sponsored. So that's the next point I was going to make. What's being sponsored means is you now, to some varying degree, are not allowed to have a opinion that differs from the brand you now represent. And I'll explain. Say you are a scooter guy and you've always liked tilt scooters, but then Aztec sponsors you. So you ride the Aztec because you're like, sick, I'm sponsored. I get free scooter parts. You get the scooter parts. Although not every sponsor gives you free stuff. Sometimes you pay at a discount, but I digress. So you like tilt, but you ride Aztec because you're sponsored. Someone comes up to me and they're like, someone comes up to you and they're like, dude, what should I get? And you're going to say, get an Aztec deck because you're sponsored by them. And they're like, what's so good about it? And you're like, well, it's great. And they say, what about tilt decks? And even though in your head, you still think, maybe you even know the tilt deck is better than the Aztec deck, but you tell this person, no, the Aztec's better because since you're now sponsored, your opinion is bought and paid for, right? So at the higher echelons of sponsorship, if you're a really good professional rider and you're getting a paycheck, it's certainly worth having to bite your tongue and essentially lie about what is the best product on the market, right? At a lower end, if a company is giving you, just a discount, they're getting more marketing out of you than they're giving up, especially if they're giving you a discount off of retail pricing because they're paying not even wholesale, they're paying manufacturer's costs, right? So they're still making money on you. You think you're getting a good deal, and then so at that level, it's a harder sell to have your opinion up for sale. I personally have always been a very opinionated person, and to some degree, I never turned down sponsorship because I was never technically sponsored. But if a company that I thought was whack wanted to sponsor me, I would just say no because I had a preference for what I like to ride. And being someone that has rode forever and ran the bike shops and all that stuff, it's like, no, my opinion is not for sale. And a couple of free products is not worth divergence from what I believe in. When you're sponsored, you get something, but you give up something. You give up your ability to really be honest about certain things. And that's the trade-off. So I would, for a lot of you young guys that want so desperately to be sponsored, it's not that important, honestly. You're just as good of a rider whether you're sponsored or not sponsored. What little bit of discount or free parts you get for being sponsored, you could easily get by, working a job, right? Then you get the money and the freedom to choose what products you want to buy anyway. Now, there's shop sponsorships where you get to buy stuff in the shop at a discount and you still get that choice. Then you're just repping the shop, So the math is a little bit different there, but I'll take a step away. So there's your kind of rough idea of what being sponsored is. Everything is a trade-off. You get a cost, there's a benefit, both for me, the sponsoring person, and you, okay? There's always risk, cost, there's benefit, okay? Moving on to the second part, I want to talk about why you so badly want to be sponsored. And I could probably do like a 2-hour talk about this, and I don't really have the time to right now because the psychology of it is actually pretty cool. So humans, we always establish ourselves in a manner that's called, it's hierarchical, right? There's a hierarchy, if you know what that means. So hierarchy, I got the old dictionary pulled up here on the side, is a system of organization in which people or groups are ranked one above another according to status or authority, right? So you can understand this because there's a pecking order locally at the skate park, etc. There's all you don't consciously track this, but if you stop and think about it, okay, you're a skater or you're a biker or you're a scooterer, you could stop and you pretty quickly, there might be some discussion, but you'll be like, who's the best in town and who's second best and who's third best. And maybe you can't make a 1 through 10 immediately, but you can pretty quickly go, okay, these are the top dogs, these are the middle dogs, these are the bottom 3 dogs, right? And so your part of your brain all day, every day is constantly tracking where do you reside within all these various hierarchical structures, right? One of them is, on a sports team. One of them is at the skate park. One is at home with your family. So there's all these different ones, and your brain is simultaneously tracking all these things at once. And just to back that up, here's a study from the NIH from last year. Most social species, including humans, naturally sort themselves into hierarchies when in a group. In individuals ranking in these hierarchies can affect their behaviors. Okay? This is from the NIH. So you're striving for status. You're always tracking where yourself in the hierarchy, right? So this is why you want to be better at scootering, so you could be better than him, so et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And being sponsored means you're a big dog. You're sponsored, dude. You did it. Like, that's why you want it. Because being able to say you're sponsored gives you the clout, puts you pretty high up on that hierarchy. And there might be people better than you who aren't sponsored, but you're like, nah, dog, I'm sponsored. So that's why you want to be sponsored, because it's about hierarchy, and you want to, be recognized as the best, right? Little recap. Sponsorship is a trade-off. There's always a risk. There's always a cost. There's always a benefit. It's always about calculating these things. And you want to be sponsored because the social status that comes along with that. Now, you could say, Dave, no, I want the free bike parts. I can't afford the bike parts. That's why I want to be sponsored. And I'm like, yeah, sure. That's part of it. But back there in your head, you're like, no, really, I want to be sponsored. So I could be like, I'm sponsored. I could have that thing in my bio that says, I'm sponsored. Do your own math. Do your own research on these things. Is it worth it, right? What's kind of interesting about the sponsorship realm is there's no way, like, say you're looking for a job, right? Because when you're sponsored, essentially they're hiring you for, marketing purposes, right? You, in the normal job market, which is also a more or less a free market, you can go around to multiple jobs. You can interview at multiple places. You can get multiple offers, right? And this kind of goes back to being like, if you're really good, you can shop around. But if you're not very good, the demand for sponsorship is very high. The supply is very low. So, and since you don't know what other people get via sponsorship, you're kind of like, whatever. So a company can come to you, offer you like a 10% off promo code, and you're like, sick, I'm sponsored. It's probably not worth it. I don't know. Now I'm going to talk about me. We're going to talk about breaking free and the whole sponsorship deal. Like I said earlier, I laid the foundation, rough idea of how sponsorship works. If I sponsor you, if Breaking Free Skate Park sponsors you, my goal, the goal of the skate park to sponsor someone is to hopefully drive some social media traffic via you to get more people in the door so I make more money. That's the goal. I'm sponsoring you, among other reasons. You're good, you're nice, etc. There's all these reasons. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the whole point is, I am sponsoring a rider because because the business, whether it be me or Red Bull or whatever, they're sponsoring people because they believe the overall effect, or at least they hope that the overall effect of having these sponsored riders is going to turn over into sales. Okay, so that is it right there. It's a little bit more complex than that, but that's the general gist. And I'll explain my particular complexity in a moment. But at the end of the day, the reason that Breaking Free Skate Park is going to have a team is because I believe that to some degree having a team will help the brand identity and will help hopefully make a little more money, right? Okay, so team breaking free. This is, I'm going to read you literally like the document I have trying to, when I was brainwashing this. The goals of the whole thing is a mutually beneficial relationship between BFS and the rider. Okay. So in my scenario, I do like the people I want to help, I do want them to gain a benefit and I want to also have a benefit, right? I'm not just trying to, use you. Okay. Another goal is to extend and cross promote both Breaking Free Skate Park and the rider, right? I help more people see you ride and you help more people see the skate park, right? We're going to help each other, right? Here's the other thing that is a little bit different from my particular situation that I want. Part of the point of the team is to foster an inclusive and accommodating and supportive atmosphere at the skate park, okay? So if you ride for me, to some varying degree, you're going to get free or discounted ride time, okay? So the people I sponsor are going to be the people that I want to be in the skate park because they're part of your, responsibility as being sponsored. We're going to get into the particulars of this in a minute. Is to, represent me, okay? If you're sponsored by Breaking Free Skate Park, what you have to understand, or if you're sponsored by anyone, that your actions become an extension of me, right? So say you're a really good rider, but you post things on social media that are fairly ignominious, which means socially embarrassing. Word of the day, ignominious, one of my favorite words. I can't sponsor you if you post really dumbass stuff on social media, right? If you are posting videos of you like with paraphernalia or non-kid or family friendly related stuff, it's an immediate no. No matter how good you are, how much I like you, if that's what you're posting publicly outward, I can't have it. And this is why most big name riders will have a public facing social media account and then a private one that no one knows about that's for their actual friends and family, right? Because there's a separation. I myself do this as well. Roughly speaking, this is going to be if you're on Team BFS, these are the benefits that the riders will get in varying degrees. You'll get a shirt, stickers, other promotional goods. You're going to get BFS family pricing or better on sessions and products. You're going to get access to my personal mechanic skills to help you fix your equipment if you're having trouble with it. Photos, you'll have access to my photography because we're going to shoot photos with all the team guys for the website and whatnot. So you have nice pictures. You're going to also have involvement in other special events and videos and YouTube. There's also a possibility of me helping with things like a road trip, or like if the team BFS wants to go out to another skate park, there's a possibility I could help facilitate that. Okay. So now we're going to go into the 3 levels of team. And this is where this is the part you've been waiting for, what each level of the team is, what it means, what you get, and, whatever. So we're going to dive right in. So the first level of team is the fam, BFS fam. I've used this term for years, way back on our YouTube in 2016. There's a video of Kevin Willard, welcome to the fam. Basically, if you're in the fam, it means, I believe, or at least you should be striving to have a long-term commitment to action sports, to, Rochester's, riding scenes and BFS in general, right? There's certain things that come along with being part of the fam, right? And the other responsibility is if as I said on this flyer, it says being in the family is work. It takes work, right? So if you're in the fam, volunteering is a requirement of the fam. Okay. The BFS fam team is also my way of feeling someone out, right? So if I think maybe you should be on the flow team, but I'm not certainly sure yet, maybe we do the fam for a little while so I get to know you a little bit better. Make sure you're a good fit, right? So people who are on the fam, BFS fam, they're basically going to have one day a week to come in and volunteer, and they get a free session for doing that, right? So that could mean, sweeping a section of the park. That could mean, coming in, taking out the garbages for me. Could mean you're going to watch the counter for me for like 2 hours. It could mean a whole bunch of different things, but basically you come in, you do a little volunteer time, and then you get to ride. You also essentially would be a brand ambassador for BFS. So you kind of would need to learn all the information on the website, the sessions. You need to, you need to really be out there. When you're riding the park, if you see something up, you see someone acting stupid, you need to have the, have it in you to walk over and be like, hey, don't do that, or at least be able to, come get me, right? Because everyone that's on the team is essentially an extra set of eyes for me around the skate park. Okay. Being on the fam, you're going to help promote and advocate for BFS and action sports generally. You're going to keep all those things in a positive light. I don't want to see negativity. I don't want to hear you talking negative. You have to just be light and positive, right? You're going to also, I want to see people who promote, let's say, inclusivity and accommodation. Someone that like, they see people at the skate park, they say hi, they wave. It's like you want to be the kind of person, like the BFS fan people are like you should be like the ideal skate park goer, right? The person who's just like great and fun to be around. Okay. If you are on the BFS fam, you are allowed to put that you are in the fam on your social media posts. Great for you. If you're on the fam, we're going to ask you to help share some promotions on social media, and you would post, not on any particular schedule, but regularly post some content about breaking free. And a lot of people already do this. You post little clips here, clips there. So we want you to be involved and help promote it. Okay. BFS fam is kind of on like a month by month status. Once you're on the fam, we're going to try it out. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're that, whatever. That is separate when we get to the flow team and the pro team. The pro team and the flow team will be a 1-year term. Okay. Once you're on the flow team, now you're essentially really like it's an actual sponsorship. You don't have to volunteer or anything. You have a 1-year term to be on the flow team. The current working document, this is where I'm at, and things can change, and some people may have particular differences, but the general idea is if you're on the flow team, you get $5 off every session you come, limitless, with $5, always $5 off. You also get one free session a month. You're going to get a minimum of a 10% shop discount. Like I said earlier, free labor. I'll help you fix and install products if you do buy them. And you will have a highlight on the BFS website. Like I said earlier, we're going to do photos. Your name will be on the website. It's possible we'll have a secondary Instagram account like BFS Team where we'll post content specifically to that, but that's a little separate thing. Okay. Some of this stuff will be a little bit redundant. The duties of a flow team rider are to conduct yourself with integrity and respect for riders around the park, foster a positive and inclusive attitude towards action sports. If you're on the flow team, you need to have Breaking Free Skate Park in your bio. You will be required to have a BFS sticker on your bike and or helmet. Almost everyone does this anyway, so it's not really asking for much. You will be required to post social media at least twice a month. And we'd like you to share other content, news and events and stuff that we post, kind of reshare stories for me, right? And then the big thing is we want content from you as well, right? So I'm saying at least one edit a year. So not like, for example, something of substance, right? So you can post clips here and there, stories, reels, whatever, but I will at least maybe save all that content up. And then at the end of the year, it's like, boom, here's, a 3-minute edit of all of that stuff, right? You could recycle it if you want, or you can like film quietly and drop an edit, right? When you drop the edit, we'll post it on the BFS channels on our YouTube, on our Instagram as well. So you kind of get access to the bigger platform. So that's the general flow team. Let's move on to the pro team. For the pro team, I think there's very few riders that really are of this caliber in Rochester. So all the like 10 people that reached out to me and were like, I want to be on the pro team. I'm like, you're not really pro status, but okay. So for pro team people, I mean, I'm really looking at people who are kind of already at a pro status, already have sponsorships, already kind of like, know the deal. But it could also be the other way around where I might know riders who are like, this dude's good enough to be pro. And like, this could be the first sponsorship that helps them get to the next level. So we'll see. The pro team may be people that aren't even local to Rochester. So whatever. Pro team, 1-year term, same thing. We'll have a little contract with all this stuff outlined. If you're on the pro team, there's no charge for riding at the skate park. You're free to ride, okay? You get a really, really heavy discount on product in the shop. Basically, if you don't know how this works, I buy product from wholesalers, and then I mark it up and then sell it at retail, which is generally about 40% markup. So all my product you would get at cost plus 10%, plus shipping if applicable. So if the product is in shop, you're not going to pay shipping. If I had to special order you something, it'd be cost plus 10% plus shipping. So to do it easy, say you wanted something that was $100 and I had to order it from a scooter company, it would be $100 plus 10%, so $110, and then say the shipping was $10, so you'd pay me $120, right? If you're on the pro team, you have to advocate for BFS, right? You're gonna, just like I said, all the other stuff, social media posts, respectful, integrity, don't look like don't act a fool anywhere, right? You will also get a highlight on the BFS website. We'll get a photo of you. We'll put you on there, blah, 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 right? That's what you're getting, okay? The duties, like I said earlier, conduct yourself with integrity and respect towards riders, foster inclusive attitude. If you're on the pro team, you got to have Breaking Free Skate Park in your bio, BFS sticker on your helmet or board, etc. Social media posts whenever you come, sharing posts when applicable, and same thing, we're going to ask for 1 substantive edit a year. Now, maybe 1 edit a year isn't enough. Maybe it's more, maybe it's quarterly, maybe it's monthly, maybe it's, can I do smaller things once a month? Whatever, right? To bring it back to where we started this whole thing, if you're sponsored, your job is to promote the brand and hopefully get people in the door, right? So, whatever, everything, keep that in mind. That's your job, essentially, right? You're getting some level of benefit, and then, hopefully it helps me. Hopefully it helps you. Hopefully it helps you. That's the whole thing, really. So that's kind of the breakdown. To give you a little more resolution on what I'm looking for, I'm probably going to look to get 3 skaters, 3 bikers, 3 scooterers, and 3 pros of whatever discipline. I've already reached out to some people. I have some good ideas. I think the scooter team might be a little bit bigger because there's just so many great candidates for that. The bike team, we'll see how that goes. And as I said earlier, this is kind of my rough outline, rough idea. I'm open to ideas. If you have other ideas about our particular relationship, whatever it is, we're going to have a little bit of a rough contract for this is what you're doing, this blah, blah, blah. I do also want to point out for the BFS fam, you don't even have to be good. It's not even about that, right? Like there are kids who just have great attitudes, and I like them being around the park, and I have no problem hooking them up with some more ride time if they come and volunteer. The BFS fam said, because it's relative to volunteering, if you want to come in 3 times a week to get 3 sessions free a week, then we could do that, right? Yeah, we're going to schedule it, right? You don't just show up and be like, I'm here, although when you're here, you're certainly welcome to grab a broom or whatever, And if you're not if you're not great at riding, that's fine. If money is tough for you and you want to ride more, I say this all the time. Just come talk to me. You're better here than not here. If that's your situation, like come talk to me. As long as you have a positive attitude, as long as you are like, you're smiling and you're like accommodating and inclusive, like I have no problem hooking you up and being in the park as long as we're benefiting each other, right? Because like I said, we're we're all better at the skate park than not at the skate park. I don't know what else you're doing if you're not at the skate park. You're sitting there staring at your phone or messing off or whatever. It's bad. So that's a big part of the team is like these people. Say I had like 12 people who were amazing at riding, but had frankly shit attitudes. No, they're not on the team. If you're on the BFS team, you have to be the right person with the right attitude, someone that I think kids can look up to, because you guys are going to have an impact on how people conduct themselves on the skate park and what little kids look up to. It's so important to get those pieces right. So hopefully by next week, I should have this sorted out and I get to do a podcast unveiling our teams, which would be just so cool. The last thing I want to touch on is the video digital media position, right? I do too much stuff to begin with. I would love to have someone who can help me with those things, help with the teams, help with the filming, help with the editing, maybe even help me with the social media posts in general. Because there's only one me, I only have so much time. So having BFS fam people who volunteer to watch the counter opens me up to do more filming or editing, but also getting someone who can do some filming and editing for me in exchange for ride time as well can be very beneficial. And I do want to stress one last thing. Like the better, the more of a relationship we already have, the easier it's going to be for me to sponsor you. Right? If I don't even know who you are and we never really talked and you don't come to the skate park a lot, like you're going to have to put in more work to get to know me, to come around so I can get a feel for who you are, right? Versus, if it's someone that, let me just throw it out here. Ben Leader, kid is awesome. He comes to skate park all the time. He's a really good rider. Seemingly has a fantastic attitude. He's always smiling. Got me a birthday card. Like it's like seemingly a great example. So he at a minimum he'll be, a candidate for the BFS fam, maybe more so because he already comes a lot. I already know him. I already see his attitude, so I don't have to spend any time making a judgment on his character. I already know it, right? So, I'm not saying bribe me, but if you come to the skate park and you kind of have an attitude and whatever, I'm so much less likely to reach out to you because I'm like, why would I want you to represent me? So like at the end of the day, anyone on the BFS team has to essentially be a role model, someone that I think, would be a great, set a great example for all the other kids that come here. Because, that's what's in it for me. What's in it for me is in it for you too, because the skate park has to stay open. It hasn't been easy, and on top of all the other things I'm doing, I'm hoping that having a team is something that can help promote the brand and get people in the door. Because at the end of the day, I need to get people in the door. So we got all these things I'm trying, and yeah. So that's a lot. That's 40 minutes there of me just talking straight, and kind of pumped on that because I just sent this one. I didn't really outline this podcast at all. I just been thinking about this for a couple of days, and I'm like, I'm just gonna fire this out. First shot got all the information out, I think, hopefully. So thank you for listening or watching, and let me know what you think. And I'll see you at the skate park later.